Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Let's turn our attention to another big bank. Barclays is reporting numbers, the first of the major UK banks to drop its numbers onto our screens. Let's talk about the numbers before we get to Venkat. Investment bank revenue for the fourth quarter, 2.61 billion. That is ahead of estimates. Pre-tax profits also higher than expected at 1.66 billion. The bank has announced a further share buyback this morning. C.S. Venkatakrishnan joining us now, the Barclays CEO. Always a pleasure. Venkat, good morning. The numbers are better than anticipated. This time last year, you announced new targets. You announced new returns to shareholders. You gave the bank a boost. Are you ahead with this set of numbers 1 year on the way you thought you would be?
Look, I'm very happy with the results we have demonstrated. If you look at our profits this year for 2024, it's 8.1 billion pounds. It's 24% ahead of the numbers for 23. It's based on a 6% growth in revenue, 1% reduction in cost, holding impairments flat. If you look more broadly at what we laid out in that 3-year plan to which you referred, our ROTE this year, we guided to greater than 10%. We printed 10.5%. We announced that greater than 10 billion pounds worth of share buybacks and dividends over the next 3 years, 24, 25, 26. And with the share buyback we announced today, we've done 3 billion for this year. And we are rebalancing the bank. We are, we've deployed about 13 billion pounds of RWAs into our UK-facing businesses. It's more than a third of the 30 billion we've planned. And the investment bank, which was 58% of the bank in RWA terms a year ago, is now 56, on its way to 50, which is our target. So, so far, so good.
Venkat, we've just been having a conversation with Bettina Orlopp, the CEO of Commerzbank. She's targeting an ROTE, return on tangible equity, of 15% by 2028. Do you think Barclays could achieve a number similar to that? How high could that figure go? Yeah. You've got UniCredit in the high teens now. Does Barclays have work to do on that number?
Well, we already have businesses that are performing well above that. So if you look at the announcement today, our Barclays UK business has produced 23% ROTE for the last year. Our UK corporate bank is in the mid-teens, I think 16%. Our private banking and wealth is in the high 20s. It all depends on the mix, and we are shifting the bank in terms of mix to the higher returning businesses. We've also said that we've put out a plan till 2026. 2026 is not an end date. It's a point in time, and we'll look forward from there.
Venkat, it's Kriti in London. Talk to us a little bit about your trading revenue here. I mean, it's not a secret that all the banks on both sides of the Atlantic have gotten a little bit of a boost driven by the volatility from the Trump administration. How long do you expect that to last as we start to see a little bit more complacency creeping into these markets?
Yeah, well, the markets, as you said, Kriti, have been quite volatile towards the fourth quarter of last year, which we've reported, and it's stretched into the first quarter of this year. It gives opportunities for our equity businesses, where I'm standing on the equity floor, and our equity business over 2024 was an outperformer, as was our securitized products business, and we've been gaining market share with clients. Those are the structural things I look for, and it's a structural performance we try to create, and then we'll take advantage of cyclical factors as and when they come. But our plan is based on a very conservative estimate of what the market wallet will be.
Let's stick with the Trump theme, perhaps from a different angle here. There's a big expectation in these markets and in these banks that the deregulatory agenda from the United States is going to have a spillover effect into Europe and into the UK, even pushing some of the regulators on this side of the pond into loosening some of those strings. How are you thinking about that? Is that spillover effect something you're seeing tangibly in the first few days of Donald Trump?
So the regulatory agenda in the U.S. has been pretty well signaled by President Trump before he came into office, and it started to be enacted. In the U.K. and Europe, you're already seeing in the U.K. examples of the government taking a line towards a more fairly balanced regulatory profile. They've spoken about, in the UK, the Competition and Markets Authority and what's called the Financial Ombudsman Service. I expect that you will see some rebalancing. But, I should say that we want the rebalancing in the context of strongly regulated markets. We think all the major banks, us included, are advocates of a well-regulated financial system. It's what makes London great. And so there should be some rebalancing, but in the context of a well-regulated financial system.
Good morning to you, Venkat. Sticking with the theme of what changes in the United States might bring, there's been a lot of expectation going into another Trump administration that perhaps we get more M&A, the animal spirits argument. But then there's also a lot of uncertainty. What do conversations around M&A look like to you?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's a balance that's going on. On the one hand, what you've got is deregulation, which allows companies to think more confidently about whether choices that they make will indeed be permitted by the government. Then you still have a relative stability in financial markets, both in interest rates and in credit spreads. And then lastly, though, you've got tariffs, which introduces questions regarding particular countries and particular industries. So I think companies are going to have to balance the three, and over time we will get a clearer picture. It's too soon to tell.
Too soon to tell on that one. Let me ask you, Kriti was asking you about trading revenues. You talked in glowing terms about the equities team. I wonder what comments you have on FICC revenues this morning. I see that for the fourth quarter, the number came in a little below what some of the analysts were looking for. Is there any explanation you can reach for there, Venkat?
Look, the fixed income is the great strength of Barclays. The house of Barclays was built on fixed income. We had a weaker start at the start of the year, but especially in our European rates and our macro businesses, it's been picking up through the year and into the fourth quarter. Our securitized products business in the U.S. has been particularly strong. So I'm very confident about fixed income performance going forward.
Okay, confident about the performance. Thank you very much, Venkat. Thank you for joining us. Barclays CEO C.S. Venkatakrishnan with us to talk about those results this morning.